All right, so welcome back to the Halfway Up podcast. And if you're watching this on the video, you might notice things look a little different. And that's because I'm doing this episode in my house. So if you're not watching this on the YouTube, you should probably go to the YouTube, man, because I'm sharing to the people what my crib looks like. And that makes me nervous. The reason why that makes me nervous is because I'm definitely a very private person. You know, social media is a highlight reel and it's all about curation. And I curate what I want the people to see about my life. Stepping into my home is a lot more of an intimate step that I'm only taking with people that I have that have earned my trust and that I've deemed worthy. Your home is your sacred space. You know, like this is your first line of defense from the world. When all the craziness is going on out there, you come here and you get your mind right, hopefully, right? That's the whole purpose of having a home. It's not just a place to go to sleep. It's a place to rejuvenate and heal and recharge so you can go back into the world and do the things that you need to do. So yeah, so now that we got the introductions out the way, let's get into what this episode is actually going to be about. And the topic that I want to discuss with y'all is rejection being God's protection. As Americans, as people on the West, I think we could all be honest and admit that we all deal with a little bit of instant gratification. I think we can all admit that. And the tricky thing about instant gratification is that some of the best things in life will not come to you instantly. You're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to go through trial and error for it. You're going to have a lot of highs and lows in your journey to getting what it is that you claim that you want. You know, I talk about this all the time on the podcast, but when I first came to New York City, I wanted to work at the Breakfast Club. I wanted to work at Hot 97. I wanted to be at Shade 45. I wanted to be in all of these traditional places that I saw other cool kids work at when I was living in Dallas, watching everybody live their life on YouTube, right? I'm watching people move around the city. They look good, they dress nice, they're traveling around the world, they getting money. So I wanted the same thing. That's what I wanted. But I quickly found out that when I got to these places, when I got close to Shade 45, I realized that it's going to be hard to get this job, first of all, because these are very limited and coveted spots. The people that are in them positions, they're not in a rush to get them positions up. They are not in a rush to get them positions up because they too know how rare it is and how hard it is to even get a spot in them radio stations. So I had to realize that, right? I had to float around those spaces, trying to offer value, trying to get them to see me, and then being disappointed time and time and time again because I realized that all of this hard work that I'm putting in and the door's not opening for me. I was disappointed about that for a long time, right? But all I had to do was be patient because very shortly, WTF Media Studios would be created and then I would get a job then. And not only was that the job for me, which is why I got it, it actually is way more aligned with who I am and what I need in this moment of my life. And this is just a great example of rejection being God's protection because some of those people that work at those radio stations, that job that I so desperately want, I know some of those people. I have conversations with some of those people, and they have all confirmed to me that they would rather work at WTF Media because the culture of the business is so much better. And it's not to take away from these legendary platforms like Hot 97 and The Breakfast Club, because it's an honor to be in these places, right? It's an honor to be there. But I have been affirmed and got confirmation from people that actually do work in them spaces that the space that I'm in now is actually the better space. Now, imagine if I tried to force myself into those positions, even though I was feeling the resistance. Imagine if I tried to force myself into that place. I would have probably ended up getting there some kind of way, right? Just to realize that on the opposite side of the pond, that's where I really should have been. And in the position that I have right now, somebody else will have it. And then you can miss your blessing. We don't talk about enough how forcing things to work could cause you to miss your blessing. Come on now, I know somebody feel what I'm saying. It happens all the time. You want to be with somebody so bad because of how you think it seems, because of how you think it looks, when actuality, you don't actually know what's going on underneath the hood. People buy lemons all the time because they think the value of having a BMW or a Mercedes is more important than the value of having a reliable car. And that's what I mean when we say rejection is God's protection. God is protecting you by closing the door. And this is something that more people need to think about because instead of feeling defeated, and it's natural to feel defeated and it's natural to feel like you're taking your L's. That's normal. I'm not trying to be unrealistic about that at all. But I want to encourage people to try to romanticize your relationship with God in a way where if God said no, it's really saying yes on the back end just another time. Because I wanted to work so many places in New York City. I tried to get next to so many people in New York City, people who I thought had clout, people that I thought that had fame. I'm trying to get next to these people because they touring around the world. They selling merch. They on big stages and people showing them love. They making money off of their YouTube streams and their podcast streams. I got close to a lot of people, you know, and I was so grateful to be there. I was just happy to be this kid from Texas that found a way to get next to somebody. You know, that was very affirming for me. But what I didn't realize is that there were things that I didn't know that wouldn't work out for me. There were things that I didn't know. It's all about the things that you don't know. Forget what you think you know. It's the things that you don't know. And that's the reason why God is closing the door in your face and keeping you away from it, because you do not realize that that is not what is best for you. If I give you what you want, you're going to hurt from it. It's kind of like children, even though I don't have any. I would imagine it's similar to that, where a child wants candy. I want to stay up late. I want to go to so-and-so house. I have to tell you no as a parent, and you think I'm the bad guy, but you don't understand that so-and-so house, it's a bad culture in that house. The parents argue all the time. The house is not clean. The kids might steal from you, right? Like, you have no idea. Like, I got to tell you no, because you can't have that candy, because if I give you all the candy that you want, your stomach gonna hurt. And now you're not gonna feel good. Now you're not gonna feel motivated to get anything done. I remember when I was in elementary school, and you know, I was always having these meetings with my teachers about me needing special education. And I would go to these meetings and all my teachers would be at a round table. It sounded like some real, you know, medieval shit. And my mom would be there and they would tell me about my performance in class. And my mom knew that I didn't need special education, but she did know that I had trouble focusing. So when we got to wondering, why was I having trouble focusing? Maybe it's because I was having a sugary breakfast. Maybe because I was having way too much soda. Maybe because I was having all of these things that don't promote focus, that don't promote clarity. You get what I'm saying? My mom had to remove the Eggos in the morning. She had to remove the pancakes in the morning because chemically what it was doing to my body is when I went to school, I didn't want to focus. I was all over the place. It was, you get what I'm saying? And I didn't want that because I like my Eggos in the morning. What you mean I can't have the toasted strudels? I love toasted strudels. She had to remove those things. And once she did, it was easier for me to be present in the classroom because I wasn't so hyper anymore. And I'm bringing up these examples because it's easy to see it when you think about the experiences that you've had with your parents. But I want you to consider that same thing with God, because God is your parent. God is your creator. God is your, you know, the person that watches over you. God is the person that knows best for you, ordering your footsteps, allowing the universe to align in the way that it does to show up in your life so you can receive the blessings and the lessons that you need. So it's a beautiful thing when you can get to a place in your life where you understand that rejection really is God's protection. What is God protecting me from? Let's think about it in that way. Instead of looking at it like, you know, I'm upset because I didn't get that job, or I'm upset because that relationship didn't work out. Let's reframe our mind. Let's reprogram our thinking and instead redirect it to, what is God trying to protect me from? What is God trying to keep me away from? Because God wants the best for you. If we can acknowledge at least that, right? Can we acknowledge that God wants the best for you? And if we can, because I understand we all have different relationships with God, and I understand that we all have different interpretations of who God is in our lives, and we all hear God in different ways. I can only speak from my reference point of how I hear and how I interpret and what my relationship with God is. But if we can at least acknowledge that God wants the best for you, then you can get to a place, or it'll at least help you get one step closer to understanding that if God removed something, that wasn't what was best for me. I don't know every single step that needs to be taken for me to get to what it is that I think that I want. I don't have that vision because I'm not a God. I'm just a human being, right? So when you think about people say I have a bird's eye view, a bird flies over the terrain, flies over the land and sees everything. That's God. So I'm looking at everything exactly how I'm looking at that camera, and exactly how you look at me. You see the kitchen, you see the furniture, everything is in one dimension, just flat. Sometimes you have vision in life. Sometimes you have intuition in life. Sometimes you have foresight in life, which these are the things that I believe are the superpowers that God gives us as human beings, things that they don't teach you in school. They don't teach you about discernment, how you could have a feeling about something before it happened and then let a little time go by and you realize you was right. These are superpowers. But for the most part, though, we see things in a very one-dimensional kind of way. God has the bird's eye view. God see the play before it happened. God see the enemies up ahead. That's why he closed that one door, because he knew as soon as he closed that door, you would be forced to go that way. And as soon as you went that way, you completely avoided the danger that was up ahead. You get what I'm saying? I hope some of y'all understand what I'm saying, man. Rejection really is God's protection, and that's what this episode is going to be about, man. That's what we're about to talk about right now. So in my notes, I came up with this outline, right? 5 things that I want to cover and discuss that I think you need to keep in mind when we're thinking about rejection being God's protection, because it's easy to forget. You know, at the end of the day, I want this podcast to be the reminder of things that you once forgot. I want this podcast to be the reminder of things that you once knew. I want this podcast to be the thing that you listen to when you need a little grounding, when you know that you're a little further out in the ocean than you're supposed to be, and you looking around and all you see is water and you can't see the land no more. I want this podcast to be the thing that helps ground you and get you back to the land, helps get you back to the shore. Because it's easy to get lost, bro. It's easy to sleep at the wheel. Yeah, you driving, but you in and out of consciousness. That's life. That's life, man. And as we go over this topic, rejection being God's protection, I detail 5 things that I want you to keep in mind that'll help you remember that it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. You get what I'm saying? Like sometimes when you lose the job and you got to go bankrupt and you can't pay the rent and, you know, now you're raising these kids by yourself and you in this hospital and all of these things that are happening and it's heavy and you don't understand. You looking at it like I'm a good person. You looking at it like I don't deserve this. I know some people who actually do deserve this. Why ain't this happening to them? There's a scripture in the Bible that says, lean not to your own understanding and trust in all the things that I do. And I relate and I fall back on that scripture a lot because I want God to be the lieutenant in my life. He's the captain. I don't have what it takes to be the captain. There's a such thing as free will, though, right? There is a such thing as free will. So it is up to me to utilize what I can do because I see things through a one-dimensional way, right? I don't have the bird's eye view. It is up to me to use my gifts and my powers to the best of my ability to try to create my success. But it's not just a job that I can do alone, which is why God wants us to continuously be in conversation with God, because he knows that we need him and we need to be tethered to him the same way we want to be tethered to the things that we like. Some of us like smoking weed all day, right? You feel like you got to have that. You got to have that spliff to get through the day. You're tethered to that. We need to be tethered to God. Because when we are tethered to God, when we're bound to God, it increases our chances of success. You get what I'm saying? And the first thing that I want us to discuss out of the 5 things that we're going to talk about today is closed doors open more blessings. Try to get to a place in your life where you can start to conceptualize the idea of if something didn't happen for me, it's because it wasn't meant for me. Think about all of the people that you might know that got what they wanted. And then think about who they are today because of it. Think about all the people that you know, all the people on social media that we follow that seem to have a perfect relationship. They with the most attractive person. They with the most attractive woman. They with the most attractive man. They take great pictures. Again, like I told you in the beginning of this podcast, social media is a highlight reel. Think about all of those people, right? They got what they wanted. But then before you know it, it's a scandal that done came out. We done heard some information about how things ain't really as good as it seemed. I want you to think of every single successful person that you are a fan of. I don't care who it is. It could be comedians, philosophers, scientists, entertainers, athletes, teachers, people that are not even famous, whatever it is. Think about everybody's story if you know it. If you're a fan of them, then you probably know the story of how they got from where they were to where they are today. And you remember that there was a challenge in the story. There was a struggle, right? They went through a hard time. They lost things. They lost people. They was confused. They were depressed. But then they kept staying on the path and they lived long enough to tell the story of the victory because there was glory at the end of it. It wasn't always bad, but there was a moment where shit got rough. There was a moment when shit got rough and doors was closed on them. People lost opportunities. They thought they was going to be in this career space forever. They was taking care of their family. They paid the mortgage. They took care of the kids in private school. They did all of these things and then they lost it all. And then people had to go through insane shit like sleeping in their car, The Pursuit of Happiness, Will Smith, shit like that. You know, people had to go through transformative experiences. And then those experiences, as unsexy as they are, as undesirable as they are, because don't nobody want to sign up for the hard work. Like, you could tell me all day that you got to go through this tough shit, and then you become a beautiful person. That's cool, but nobody wants to go through that though, because it's not sexy, because it's difficult, it's challenging, and it's painful, and it is not a comfortable life. But when we think about these artists and these musicians and these celebrities and these activists and these athletes and all of these people that we respect and that we're fans of when we're watching them on YouTube or we're watching them on Instagram, let's use their life as an example and remember the time that the door got closed for them. And then let's think about where they are today and let's see how the new opportunities were created. When they say a minor setback for a major comeback, that's a real thing. People say that for a reason. These sayings are coordinates to help you get to your destination. They're things that if you keep in mind, it'll help you stay in the game and not lose your fucking mind. It's important to understand, man, that closed doors open new opportunities. Sometimes in order for you to get what's next for you, you got to make space. As people, we hold on to things because it makes us feel safe. There's an illusion of security in keeping things the way that they are. There's an illusion of security in holding on to things because it makes us feel like that's who we are. Think about it in your home. Some people got so much junk in their crib that they don't need. So much shit that's so unnecessary that you don't even see that if you was to remove all this, there's a beautifully designed apartment here. There's a beautifully designed home right here, but you can't see it because you got shit that you just been holding on to because you feel like it's so you, because you feel like you gotta have it, right? Because it gives you a false sense of security. And holding on to those things is what's stopping you from reaching the potential of what it could be. Because it could be something great. I'm gonna tell y'all another story. My last traditional 9-to-5 job was a security officer. It was a player-ass job. They essentially paid me to be on my phone and sit on my ass all day. And when I was working 9-to-5 traditional jobs, my motto was always be at the job for a year and then try to get something else because I didn't want to stay too stagnant. You know, time is precious. So stay there for a year, get your money, because you know these companies is not in a hurry to help you elevate in the company. So you might as well go somewhere else and seek more value, right? I'm working at the security job and that year has came up and now it's time for me to look for something else. So I think I'm on like Indeed or something like that. I find a customer service job for an insurance company. I think it was for State Farm. At the security job, I was getting paid $14 an hour. At the State Farm insurance customer service job, I was gonna get $18 an hour, which, you know, when you at the bottom, trying to get $20 is the holy grail. You know, like once upon a time, $20 an hour was the thing that you aspired to have, like minimum. Like if you had $20 an hour job, if you at least had a $20 an hour paying job, you knew that you was making the right steps in life. You getting there, right? You getting close. So I put my application in for State Farm. I did 3 rounds of interviews. They decide they want to hire me. Now, whole time while I'm going through this interview process and I'm taking time off as a security job so I can be available for State Farm in the interview process, I'm still holding on to my security job because what if it don't work out? I still got to keep that bread. Because one thing about Wolf Taylor gonna get paid. Wolf Taylor not gonna be broke nowhere. I'm gonna always keep that money because I need my bread to invest in things. I've been in this creative space and dealing with cameras and lenses and stuff for years, you know, so I got to keep a steady stream of income. And I was also shooting music videos at the same time. So when I wasn't working at the security job Monday through Friday, I was shooting videos for people on the weekends or sometimes even shooting music videos for people after I got off from the security job, right? But once I got news that they was going to hire me at the State Farm insurance job, I let go of the security job. Now, usually I would give them my 2 weeks, right? Because I don't want to leave on a bad note. But they had me fucked up over there. They had me fucked up and I had been ready to go because the manager was giving me a hard fucking time, always writing me up. And truth be told, I could have got fired any day. I was one write-up away from losing my job. So I was very stressed over there. So I ain't had no respect for them no more. So as soon as I found out that I had that job coming, so as soon as they told me that I had that job at State Farm, I let go of the security job. So here I go. I'm ready to get this job at State Farm. And then they called me. And it's like, yo, you know, just one problem. We looking over everything. We're looking over your application. And, you know, and they're like, for some reason, we can't find your college degree. Because I lied and I told them that I had a college degree when I did it. Now, I went to college, but I never got the degree. I flunked out of college. School has never been my thing. I've never had a successful career in school from pre-K all the way to college. It wasn't for me, right? So I lied, you know? I didn't think that they was going to look into it. I just thought that it was something that people talk about. But I went through 3 interviews, so clearly I feel like I'm qualified for the job, and so do you. But because I lied, and one thing about me is lying really isn't my thing. Like if I'm caught red-handed on some shit, I'ma just be honest about it. And I told him like, hey, like I actually don't have a college degree, but I did go to that college though. I went to the University of North Texas. I did, but I didn't get a degree from there. I told them this and they decided to not go through with the hiring process. So I didn't get that job. So not only did I let go of the job that I had, I also didn't get the other job that I was trying to monkey branch my way into. And those 2 doors closing created the biggest blessing of all, because if that one thing didn't happen to me, then I wouldn't be here today, because that forced me to go full time into being a videographer. Not having either job forced me to really get on my grind, making extra content, going out to events and meeting people, offering my services to them. Really put me in a hot seat where I had to step my shit up. You know what I mean? And I'm so grateful for that moment, because if that didn't happen, it wouldn't have put the training wheels on me to try to see what it's like to be an entrepreneur, to see what it's like to create my own schedule. I would have never known what that was like. And if I didn't have that foundational period of shooting all these music videos in the city of Dallas and making my own bread and creating my own workflow and my own work schedule, then I wouldn't have been ready to come to New York City. So you see, that door closed on me, boom, boom, 2 doors closed on me just for the biggest door, because God knew what I really wanted. What I really wanted was to come out to New York City and be out here trying to find my way, being a detective, looking for the clues until I could piece the bigger picture all together and get what it is that I actually want, which is this. I'm chilling in my apartment. I'm in Brooklyn right now. I pay rent. This is my shit, and I'm proud of it. I'm not living in Dallas anymore. And if I was, that would be fine, because I love my city. I got my city tatted on my arm. But the essence of what I'm saying is that I took a risk and it paid off in a major way. And we ain't done. We not done. At this very moment, there's some things that I can't speak of as of yet in this period of my life, but there are doors that are currently being closed in my life right now. And I know they're being closed because there's a bigger door waiting to be open. There are relationships that have changed in my life tremendously. Things that have changed, things that I didn't anticipate. But I understand that every closed door doesn't have to be an aggressive thing. Sometimes God closed doors because it's time for that chapter to end. In this life, I look at days like pages and I look at years like chapters. That chapter is done now. It's still a part of the story, but there's more story to find out about. There's more story to read through. And I can't finish this book properly because some people don't get to finish their book. You get what I'm saying? Some people don't get to finish their book in life. Some people stop in that. Some people get stopped at a page and never know what it's like to see the other chapters. If you want to go through this life the correct way, you have to allow God to close chapters for you so you can continue flipping pages. Because if you're not flipping pages, then the book's not being read, and the book's not being read, then you're not learning nothing. If you're not learning nothing, you could essentially say that you're dead. You could essentially say that you sleep at the wheel, and we've all been asleep at the wheel before. I've been asleep at the wheel many times, many times. And hopefully, if you're lucky, you have somebody who care about you, that speak life into you and let you know, like, hey, you're a little too loose. You need to tighten up. You're a little too loose. You ain't doing the shit that you used to do. You ain't been on your grind. You ain't been taking care of your responsibilities. But if you're not fortunate enough to have that type of person in your life, how long are you sleep at the wheel till you wake up? You get what I'm saying? Closed doors open new opportunities, man. If I didn't lose both of those jobs, I would have never pushed myself to see what I could do. I would have never put myself in a position to see what I was capable of. And now I know that I'm capable of a lot. I went from one city where I felt comfortable and I had everything that I needed to come into a whole brand new city, and I figured it all out. I started over again. I made new relationships. I made new money. I had new challenges. I had new victories. I took a bigger risk and had a bigger challenge. I live in one of the most legendary neighborhoods in the world, Bed-Stuy, a legendary black neighborhood, and I got my own space. This ain't no simple thing. You know how expensive my rent is? This shit is crazy, which is why I'm gonna be up out this motherfucker at some point. But until then, I'm proud of the work that I've done today. I'm proud of the work that I've done thus far. And that's just a good example of rejection being God's protection. It's just a good example of closed doors opening new opportunities. Sometimes it's not gonna be easy. You're not gonna like it. It's not gonna feel comfortable. And it ain't gonna come at the right time sometimes. but try your best to not fight it. Let it go. Because if it's being taken away from you, who you think taking it? It's God. And God is using the players, the people in your life to coordinate what needs to be done. He's coordinating. He's using people. They don't even know they're being used. When I pray, I ask God to order my footsteps. So when I'm taking my steps, I think it's me walking the whole time you're directing me. God be directing people. He be using them. He be like, you know what? That ain't shit ass person in your life, they ain't good for much, but I'm going to use them to do this though. They might not be able to be the light in your life, but I'm going to use the darkness that's in them to help propel you to get to where it is that I'm trying to get you to go to, because you won't go on your own. I feel like I'm preaching up in here, man. Because you won't go on your own. You too comfortable. You like things the way that they are already. Comfort is dangerous, man. Comfort is the most dangerous thing to somebody who's trying to rise. Because your comfortable life is keeping you from taking the risk that's going to help you get to where it is that you're supposed to be going. How are you supposed to meet your partner, your soulmate, your husband, your wife, if you don't get out of the relationship that you're in now? How are you supposed to meet them? And this is just another example of rejection being God's protection. God has to remove the person that's a placeholder in your life, taking up space, taking up your energy, your attractive energy. God has to remove that person so he can make space for the person that's meant for you. You think God gonna bring you your person, your perfect person, while you preoccupied with somebody else? And this is not to put down the person that's in your life. This is not to create more division. And this is not to create more separation, but it is to get you to think. Let's think about this. Why would I bring the person that's meant for you when you're preoccupied? Your energy is already taken up and being consumed by somebody that's draining you. And I'm not saying that they're a bad person because they're draining you, but what I am saying is have an open mind when God changed things around in your existence. How are you supposed to meet the person that's meant for you? Because if that person is really meant for you, that means they at a certain level. And God not going to let you be at a lower level to meet that person. Y'all not equally yoked, which means you coming into the situation needing work that the person that's for you don't need, because they did what they were supposed to do. They did the therapy. They did the healing. They did the groundwork to be who they need to be. You the one that's being held back by the people that's in your life, and you don't want to let go because you got a fear of being alone. Or whatever it is that's stopping you from growing and progressing and moving forward to your destiny. These are just more examples of rejection being God's protection. Some things have to be removed for new things to be introduced. You could either have your life exactly how it is, or you can have your life like what it could be. Potential, possibilities. What do you want? I don't know if y'all can hear the music in the background, but it's a Brooklyn thing, man. People, they in the car, they playing music, it's culture, it's vibes. So if you can hear that, enjoy. The second thing that I want us to discuss is that it got removed so you wouldn't lose. And that's something that I want people to really keep their focus on. It got removed so you wouldn't lose. That person left your life because they was holding you back. You got let go from that job because they wasn't going to promote you anyway. You stopped being friends with that person because they were secretly snitching and talking about you behind your back. You lost everything because you didn't even value it in the first place. And you had to go through a challenge and a moment of humility in your life so you can understand the value of the things that you had, so you can learn how to appreciate the things that you had. It got removed so you wouldn't lose. The way you was going, the route that you was taking, it wasn't looking good for you. You might have thought everything was sweet, but it actually wasn't though. It got removed so you wouldn't lose, man. And I know it makes us feel uncomfortable to experience change because we like the things because we like things the way that they are. But let's remember what we talked about in the beginning of this podcast. God has the bird's eye view. God sees the whole play. You just see it like I'm looking at this camera. You see it one dimensional, straightforward. God see the whole scape of the land. God see the whole landscape. God see the whole landscape. And God removed it because he understands that if I remove that, it will encourage you to go do this. And once you do that, it will increase your chances of winning and enjoying your life. God knew that if you continue to have your way and continue to have access to that thing that's holding you back, you would never let it go. It got removed so you would not lose. If you had things your way, you would still be stuck in one place. If you had things your way, you would never grow. If you had things your way, you would never face the challenge so you can get to the growth on the other side of it. These things had to be taken out of your life. These things had to be taken from you because you wasn't going to do what it takes to get to the next level. You was happy with the level you was at. You were so satisfied. You were so content with where things were then. That if you had things your way, you would never know what it was like to take a couple more steps to realize it's a way better view over here. The grass is actually way greener on the other side, and you would have never realized that if God didn't snatch that thing that you were so comfortable with out of your life. So it had to get removed. It had to be taken from you. It had to be positioned. You had to be positioned so you could find the alignment that you really deserve. What's more important to you? Having a mundane, repetitious, secure life, or having a life full of thrill and excitement and fulfillment and accomplishments and victory and glory? What's more important to you? Do you know that you have to go through uncomfortable changes to get to that other side? You have to go through uncomfortable changes. There's no way to get those things by standing still, by staying in the good AC, by having the good cable, the good Netflix. You get what I'm saying? Like, you got to be uncomfortable and you have to be removed so you don't lose. A lot of us is in relationships that's holding us back. People will be in a relationship for 7 years, bro, and no growth is coming from it, bro. No growth is coming from it. This nigga done forgot your birthday 50 times. This person don't even love you, bro. Y'all don't go on no vacations. They don't surprise you. They don't buy you flowers anymore. They don't think about you. They don't bring you food to work no more. They don't do none of them things no more because they sleep at the wheel. And whole time you hurting inside, looking at other people's relationships, looking at other things outside of yourself of what life could be. Meanwhile, not doing nothing about the life that you actually have. So God had to snatch them from you because you wasn't doing nothing about it. Because you was cool with sleeping in the same bed with them at night because you hate the thought of sleeping alone. Somebody that could distract you from the things that you actually need to be thinking about. You was cool with that. So then God took them out your life and you was uncomfortable. And you was crying and you was sad and you was upset. But do you know what happened? You finally had a moment to deal with the things that you kept running away from because you kept running to porn, because you kept running to drugs, because you kept running to escapism. You doing everything but sitting in your problems and dealing with it. So God removed it because God got bigger plans for you, because God doesn't want you to lose. So God took it out of your life. You get what I'm saying? All I'm trying to say is sometimes God removes things out of your life because God understands that it's making you comfortable and it's preventing you from being motivated and inspired to seek new things. Life is about change. Life is about growth, and growth is change. And you can't change when you're so comfortable with everything the way that it is, when this is not even the final form that God has for you. There are more forms that God has for you. There are more stages. There are more experiences. And I know that you're happy with the way things are right now. But I want you to know that it actually gets greater later. Now, you can stay at this phase of your life that you're in right now, but I need you to understand that if you choose this, you are then also choosing not to have a better life. And I want you to know that. I want you to know that if you choose the thing that's comfortable for you and that will not allow you to grow, then you are also inadvertently choosing to not have a better life. You're sacrificing how great life could be so you can have the comfort of what it is that already is. And I want you to understand that that is the contract that you are making with yourself and the universe. You are letting the universe know, I don't need better. I'm happy with things the way that they are. I don't want to have to learn anything new. I don't want to do none of that. Just let me stick with this. Be careful what you ask for. Sometimes we ask for things in our actions. Sometimes it's about what we're saying silently. I always say you got to listen to what people not saying. What are you not saying to the universe? Because the universe is going to give it to you. The third thing that I want you to remember is keep the trust when it gets tough. When shit get crazy, when shit get unpredictable, when it gets dark, when the people that was around, they not around so much no more because they got other things that they need to do because they turned their back on you. When the finances that you felt secure in, that gave you that sense of security, when it's not like that no more, try your best to not lose sight of who God is when the moment gets challenging. When your back is up against the wall, when the people don't want to be your friend no more, when you don't got the bread to afford simple things like toilet paper and deodorant, and you got to make them hard decisions. When life get tough, do not lose sight of who God is. God has never left you just because the finances did. God has never left you just because your friends and your family did. God didn't leave you. God removed those things so you wouldn't lose. God had to get rid of those things to make space for the new things that he's about to bring you. God had to do that. Don't lose focus. Don't lose faith in God. Don't turn your back on God. Don't lose your loyalty to God, because as Americans, we always talk about how people fake and how you can't trust people because there's no loyalty. But what about your loyalty to God? Are you going to lose your faith with God when you can't drive the same car that you're driving no more? When you can't put them keys to that door no more? Are you going to lose your faith in God when you don't got that position that you love bragging to people about because it makes you feel better about yourself and what you're doing in life? Are you going to lose faith when you lose access to your physical possessions? Are you going to lose faith? Is your relationship with God only as strong as the things that you possess? These are things that you got to think about. Because if God removes it, are you going to keep the trust when it gets tough? Because it is going to get tough. God is going to challenge you. Let me tell you something that's extra fair about life. Nobody gets a chance to escape the challenges that are coming for them. It's character development. It's a necessity to get to where it is that you're trying to go. Even if you don't want to go, God might still push you. Come on, keep it moving. God still might push you because God knows what's best for you. Only stubborn people stand still. I think God comes through and talks to all of us, has multiple conversations with us, but you don't got to move. You don't got to go nowhere. You don't have to push yourself to be better. You can stay exactly where you are. Stubborn people don't grow. If you see somebody and they're not growing, there's a stubbornness that's going on there. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is what you're willing or not willing to do. That's it. So if you see someone that's not where they claim they want to be, it's because they're not willing to do what it takes to actually get there. And obviously, if you see somewhere having strides and having a lot of progress and accomplishments, it's because they putting in that work. But when shit get tough and when shit not so sexy no more, are you going to lose your faith in God? You know, one of my favorite songs off of To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar is Mortal Man. And the hook in Mortal Man is, when shit hits the fan, are you still a fan? When shit hits the fan, are you still a fan? Will you still be a fan of God when shit get rough? Will you forget that everything is temporary? Everything. Change is a constant motion. Sometimes you up, sometimes you down. I done had bread and I did not have bread. I done had a lot of friends and I did not have a lot of friends. I done been in love and I've been out of love. I've been through the gamut in the motions of life. It's motions, it's constant, right? It goes up and it goes down. Everything that go around gonna come back around. As life is moving around you, will your relationship with God stay the same? Can you be the nucleus? Can you have a center of gravity with God that's so strong that as I see the world burning around me, I know I'm not gonna catch on fire? Can you do that? Because that's the ultimate level of faith. Can't nobody tell you nothing when you got a level of faith like that. I could see everything changing. Let me tell you something about my rent. It's expensive. And I ask myself all the time, what you gonna do if you can't pay this rent one month? What are you gonna do if shit gets so tough that you ain't got it? It gets slow at the studio around wintertime, and my rent is more than it's ever been before. What if it gets so slow that I can't catch up to the rent because the rent's so high? This ain't the type of rent that you play catch up with. I could one month of rent could wipe me out of the city. It could wipe me out of the city. I could potentially not be able to live here anymore because one slow month, man, I think about these things. But then you know what I'm also thinking? I'm being honest with you. I'm not just faking the funk and trying to just come off as like a motivational speaker or no shit like that, because I'm not. But you know what else I also think? I also think if I get wiped out of this city because I can't get enough hours or enough bookings at the studio and shit's slow and I can't pay my rent, I'm going to go home and I'm going to keep grinding. I'm not changing my relationship with God just because I can't have this house. This house is not my relationship with God. I live in a home already, and it's called love. Love is within my body. Love is within my being. And this is the place that I choose to live. It's not about putting the keys in the door. It's not about the shirt. It's not about the clothes on my body. It's about the love that I have in my heart. That's why I'm always at home no matter where I go. I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was telling them, bro, I sleep anywhere. I sleep anywhere because there's a peace that lives inside of me. I am the home. I sleep in the living room. I sleep on the floor. I sleep in the bed. I sleep wherever I got to go. It's not preferable. You know, I would love to be somewhere where I'm comfortable and it's nice, but whatever it is that I got to do, I'm going to make it happen. And when it gets tough, I'm not going to lose my trust with God. God is with me. God is with me when I'm asleep on the floor. God is with me when I'm asleep on the couch. God is with me when I'm asleep in the car. All things that I've had to do, I never lost my faith and my trust in God, because I never lost my faith in God because God is bigger than the things that I don't have. And you got to not look at life like the glass is half empty. Let's look at it like let's look at it like it's halfway full. Even when I slept in the car, I had God. Even when I slept in the car, I had my faith in God. Even when I didn't know where I was going to sleep that night, I had my faith in God. I never lost faith in God, ever. Sometimes my faith in God has been challenged, but I can never say that I just completely lost it. And you know what? For the people that has lost their faith in God, I don't want you to think that I'm judging you. And I don't want you to think that I'm trying to ostracize you. I'm trying to create separation between you and me, because me and you are actually not that different. I don't know what it's like for you to be in your body. I don't know what it feels like to be you. But all I'm trying to do is to encourage you and inspire you and motivate you to remember that God never leaves you. We leave God. We walk away from God, and that's why we feel lost. And then when we came to our, and then when we come to our senses, we return to God. And then we found God where we left God. It happens all of the time. Nobody's above it, and neither am I. Nobody's above it. But what I want you to understand is that when it gets tough, please try your best to not lose the trust, because the same place that you leave God in your journey, it's going to be the same place that you find him when you head back and you're looking for him. The fourth thing that I want you to consider is that what God wants for you will always be better than what you want for yourself. You have a plan. You have a vision. You got dreams. You got goals. You got aspirations. You have an idea of how you think this thing should go. And maybe it will. Maybe some of it will. That's the whole point of having free will, right? We do get an opportunity to mix and remix our own life. We are the painters of our own canvas. But sometimes God is going to guide that hand a little bit. It's like, you know what? You need a little bit more blue over here. Trust me. Trust me. It's going to make the picture better. We need assistance like that. That's why we have teachers. That's why we have people. That's why we have parents. That's why we have brothers and sisters. We have people that are set up in the dynamic of our lives to help guide us to where it is that we need to be. We're all collaborating. This life is one big jazz band, and we all improving. The saxophone player get to doing a little something different. It causes the drummer to shift his position a little bit so he can match the tone and the frequency and the rhythm of what the saxophone player doing. The saxophone player and the drummer get to doing something different. Now the piano player is starting to slow down a little bit because they done switched the pace. We all collaborating whether we know it or not. Every stranger, every person in your life. And what I want you to remember is that what God wants for you is better than what you want for yourself. Adjustments have to be made. Conditions have to be changed. Comfort has to be sacrificed at times. It has to be changed for you to get what it is that God has in store for you, because you are out here walking and living on purpose. You have an assignment to do with this very limited time that you have on this planet. You don't have that much time in the grand aspect of things. And with the very limited time that you have, God has to use you as an instrument to do God's bidding. Hey, yo, I need you to get right so you can be right for them, because I got plans for you, because that's how God uses us. He uses us as examples and walking testimonies to shed light and to be of influence to others that are here and the other people that are to come. My whole life, I'm working hard to create an environment so that when my children get here, I get to start a new dynamic with them. I give them the tools that they need so they can take it further than I ever took it myself, so that my children don't have to worry about the story that I've developed, right? Because they got a new story to develop. Hey, in my lifetime, I did the groundwork where I came through New York City, didn't have no money, figured it out, had to be a detective, create relationships, built a personal brand, leverage the personal brand so that I could take care of your funky ass. And then you could take the resources that you don't have to spend 20 or 30 years to try to get, and then take the resources to take it even further, because now you have more time. It's a passing of the baton. It's a continuation. You get what I'm saying? It's a continuation. Just try to keep that in mind, man. What God wants for you is better than what you want for yourself. It's not going to feel that simple all the time. Sometimes you're not even going to want to hear that sometimes. And you know what? I feel you. But it's true. And the fifth thing that I want you to consider, man, this is a long ass episode, y'all. And I'm really so glad that we're doing this episode, that this is the first episode that I'm doing in my house, because not only is this something that I want to remind people of, but I'm also reminding myself, not only as I'm listening to myself speak, but when I listen to it back, once it's complete, these are things that'll be coordinates, things that'll help ground me when I need to be when I need to be reminded of things that I'm forgetting because I'm asleep at the wheel. The fifth thing that I want you to remember and consider, that God is giving you more time to prepare. There's a blessing in your life. There's an opportunity. There's a relationship, friends, romantically. There's places that you're going to travel. There's things that you're going to create. You need more time to prepare. That's why God hasn't given it to you yet. The reason why God is rejecting you from having it, because if you get it too early, you're going to ruin your blessing. You're not going to do what God has in store for you to do with it. You're not going to get the full return of investment on your blessing, because you're not ready if you get it sooner than you're ready to. Imagine if you meet your person before you went through the lessons to make you qualified to be with that person. You would lose that person. Imagine if you got the money before you learned the lessons on how to deal with money. You would fuck off the money and you wouldn't find a way to triple it so you can share it with the people that are in your family that need the help, or the people that are they're not even born yet, or just the people that you might meet and you might hear their story and then you might feel compelled to offer support to them because you know that they need it. You might not be ready. You might not be prepared for the things that God has in store for you. And that's why you don't have the blessing yet. Maybe there's a lesson that you keep learning. You keep learning. You keep learning. You could have been exited off the highway, but for some reason you keep missing your exit. And you keep staying on the highway, knowing that you're running out of gas, knowing that the gas engine light is on, knowing that, but you keep missing your blessing. You're not going to get off the highway and get off into the residential areas and make it home until you learn what it is you're supposed to learn from this. I want you to think about it in that kind of way. What if God is giving you more time to prepare? What's more important, getting it now or getting it when it's time? We got to stop living in a place of lack. We got to stop thinking that if I don't have it now, then I'm not enjoying my life. People look at it like I'm going to start enjoying my life when I make the $1 million. I'm going to start enjoying my life when I get the job. I'm going to start enjoying my life when I meet the person. Enjoy your life now. Appreciate the level that you at now. Ball on your level. You worried about running, you can't even crawl properly. Worry about crawling. Get to that, because there's beauty in crawling. It's beauty in learning how to do these things, man. And then you get to your level, and then trust and believe, one day you might actually look back and realize that this moment that I was living in, this chapter, this series of my life is actually a lot better than I ever knew that it actually was. But I couldn't focus on it because I was too focused on what I don't have versus appreciating what I do. There's a beauty in your time to prepare. There's a beauty in it. And sometimes we can be in such a rush to get the next best thing that we forget about the thing that we have right now. We lose sight and become blind to what we have right now is actually great. It's actually so much better than we think. I personally am ready for the next phase of my life. I think it looks like me monetizing off of my personal brand. I think that's what it looks like. But I'm not going to get beside myself and forget how great it was to be an engineer at the biggest podcast Black-owned studio in the world. I'm never going to forget that. That's very important. That's very special, because once I close this chapter, like all the other chapters of my life, I'm never going to return to it. Unless God tell me to, because maybe I missed one of them lessons. Maybe God need to knock me down so I can get back and learn something. Okay, well, until I get that confirmation, until I get that lesson, I got to try my best to remember that sometimes God is going to give you time to prepare because you're not ready yet. And that's okay. Appreciate the level that you're at right now. Life doesn't have to be, I can't appreciate my life until I get the thing. No, you're doing it backwards. You're probably doing it backwards. And that's it. That's what I got for y'all. These are the 5 things that I want you to consider when we're thinking about rejection being God's protection. I hope you enjoyed this episode, man. I hope you got some kind of value from this. I hope you like the what you're saying. You know, this is my living room. I don't know. You know what I mean? I just took the plants that was all near the windowsill that all this natural light is hitting my face with now. Put one right there. Put another one right here. Lit the candle. Can't even see it. I'm just grateful, man. I'm grateful. Usually I would be at work right now. I'd be at work from like 9 a.m. to like 9 p.m. or later, truth be told. But I had a couple shows canceled. And so my next show wasn't going to be till 4 p.m. So, and I've been really wanting to do this episode because I tried recording this once before. I'm using a wireless mic, and I don't know what I did wrong last time, but the wireless mic wasn't giving what it needed to give at all. You feel me? It wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. And so I couldn't put the episode out. So this is my second time trying to record in the crib. And I got a good feeling about this one, though. I hope this is the one that I can move forward with. I hope that I can continue recording in my house because, again, I'm trying to build a personal brand, and I want to create a unique experience for the people that are tapping into what I'm doing. I want to create a unique experience. And I just like the way it feel better. This, like, ain't nobody else in the world gonna have this backdrop. This mine. Shout out to the studio. Shout out to working at WTF because, there will be no podcast without them. I mean, I did start my podcast before I started recording in the studio, but that's another story. But my point is that I want this to essentially be where I have the majority of my conversations with y'all. And then every now and then I'll go to the studio. You know what I mean? So anyway, and it's been a minute since I recorded, bro. I took some time off. Like, my parents came. My parents was here for like 2 weeks. And once they left, I was just kind of getting back into the rhythm of life and preparing all these outlines. I got like 12 different outlines that I can't wait to share with y'all. Shit that I've been working really hard on. Like, really good flow of conversation that I can't wait to put out, because I do believe that it'll resonate with the right people, with the people that it's supposed to resonate with. And so that's what I've been working on. So it's been a minute since I actually recorded and released anything, but I'm ready to get back on it. You know how I get down. I'm trying to drop a clip every day, Monday through Friday, Monday through Monday if I can, but at the minimum Monday through Friday. I'm trying to get back on that because I love the work. I love the hustle. Money Mitch vibes. I really do. And I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all of the support for all the other episodes that y'all still running up. To make women feel safe again, y'all running it up. Extend your parents' grace, y'all running it up. Burning bridges, y'all running it up. Y'all running everything up, man, and I appreciate it. Because at the end of the day, if I don't have people to listen, then what am I really doing? I could just do it for me, but I probably won't, to be honest. I probably would not just be talking and having these conversations with myself. I mean, maybe I would, because, I think about the idea of me being long gone one day and then having these conversations to share with people as an ancestor. One day I'm going to be a great grandfather to somebody, and they can see what their great grandfather was on. They can hear me being young, being 31, living in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Looking at my apartment. They might not be able to actually be in this apartment because I'm going to move one day, right? But they get an idea of what I was looking like, how I was living my life. And yeah, remember that rejection is God's protection. It's a better way of looking at it, man. You just got to shift your mentality. And with that being said, man, I love you guys. We must stay healthy. Youth is temporary, but health is forever. And before we get out of here, you already know the mantra, the religion, the spirit of the brand. Whenever I'm working, I will remember that done is better than perfect. And if I'm satisfied with my work, then that does mean that I'm living in my purpose. Shout out to all y'all, man. Love you guys. Peace. I'm about to make some breakfast or something. Even though it's 1:15, it's time for me to eat.